Yes,
All
sir.
right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and evening. Welcome to Wealth and Wisdom. Um, as you can see, this is not Brandon Byrne,
Ah,
unless he suddenly got a white beard and went bald.
yes, Brandon.
Today we have a very special guest, the CEO of BDIC, Blockchain Deposit Insurance Company, who, for people who've been reading my stuff, know that this is someone I've been talking about a lot recently. We've actually partnered together to help get the word out about BDIC because I am over the moon about what BDIC is up to. But you don't need to hear it from me. I'm going to turn it over to the big man himself to tell you all about it. Um, Jeff, why
Yes,
don't
sir.
we start with probably the biggest question, because I have a journalism background just a little bit. We'll jump right into the nut grab here. Um, Talk about what BDIC is and why people should care about what BDIC is doing.
Sure. Well, BDIC, Blockchain Deposit Insurance Corporation, it's just like it sounds like deposit insurance for cryptocurrency. It's something that's missing from the industry. Important for people to understand the history of finance in general, going back, and you and I have talked about this, to the early days of banking and people not feeling good about it, hoarding gold, right? Money out of banks. Then the
Mhm.
government stepped in. The government stepped in again in the 70s, both insurance protocols. And we're at the point where, well, good golly, there's hacks practically on a daily basis.
Yeah,
We just talked about Swiss Borg. Like, oh, no, no, that was September for 40 million. This is a different one. It just
exactly.
happened for 120 million yesterday. So
Mhm.
why should people care? Because uh, retail, whether it knows it or not, or likes it or not, is going to be using digital currencies. It's being pushed down from the institutions, pushed down from the banks.
Right.
And we've seen this before, right? We've seen it with the credit card, consumerism at its best, not just in the US, but from a global standpoint.
Mhm.
And I also think that as people are becoming more educated, they're going to
Right.
understand that the banks have been using blockchain just like the government was using the internet before we started using it in the 90s, right?
Mhm. Right.
So, and that's why I feel it's important for sure.
No, for sure. And right now I feel like more than ever people should be concerned about that. I'm gonna deviate away from the list I had here and jump right into the hack that we just talked about. Anyone who's been on Twitter or has been using a finance app of any kind recently has probably noticed the pain that's happening to crypto investors and investors in general, but specifically crypto. Um, I looked yesterday, my positions are down pretty painfully. I think it was something along the lines of Solana fell 10% yesterday. Don't quote me on that. Um, but it has been dropping. And part of it was because of a sophisticated hack that happened to Balancer 2, I think is what it's called.
Yep.
I think I'm in that name right. Anyway, yeah, so a DeFi lending protocol um, was attacked through what looks like a breach in their software, and thieves were able to steal. How much money are we talking here?
It's
Draining
100,
5.8. Go ahead.
128 mil, just 128 million. It
128 mil.
wasn't even a big hack. That's middle of the road. It's the good news is, and we talked about it briefly, is they've recovered $20 million of it already,
Mm,
um, which still does nothing good. And the tragic thing is that this went on for hours before
mhm.
somebody said, "Hey, this doesn't look right. Something looks
Right.
funky here." Hours. And this just goes back to retail understanding that whatever platform you're on, whatever exchanges, whatever protocol, whatever fancy jargon is being used to tell you this is where it is safe, hackers are trying to find those places. They're looking at code. They're beyond the platform, looking at
Mm,
retail, using SIM cards, and it's terrible. And it's the terrible thing is that someone talking about the sophisticated sweet sequence of the breaking of the smart contract. Listen, let's just call it what it is. Okay. Um, Improper handling, improper authorization, improper callback allows hackers to get through safeguards. It's not
Right.
human error at making the mistake. It's the protocols aren't set up for success. They're actually, it's as if someone left holes in the mousetrap for the mouse to get to the cheese.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it's tragic, to be honest with you, because in the time where we're talking about our cryptos going down, and I made the joke today of, how low can you go? How low? How low can you? And thinking to myself, God, I think they say that 4 or 5 times, and just when you think your heart's been ripped out, then you see another gap down. And I even this morning I say, God, the people that woke up yesterday thinking the weekend and it's Monday, and oh no.
Yep.
And so in lies though what I've learned in my 52 short years, 30 of which have been professional, is that right when people break, right when I can't handle it anymore, right when those words are coming out of people's mouths is when the bottom is usually being set, right? Where irrational selling, where panic selling, where
Right.
margin call liquidation selling gets to its point. Um, So for this hack to have happened right in the face of a major meltdown and what's now been 4 weeks of just stabbing, stabbing, stabbing pain,
Mhm.
that's just going to add to the fear, right? To the fudding fud uh, that existed anyway.
Mhm.
So
No,
um,
yeah, 100%, and I mean, I think that's an important thing to bring up. I mentioned it yesterday at, like, 11:30. Um, this isn't the same world it was back when I was in high school when crypto first got started. I think Chaos Labs brings up the example that caused them to start Chaos Labs, and it was this sophisticated trading hack where the hackers were actually manipulating the market and trying to quickly siphon off funds as USDC, I think it was. It's gotten more nuanced than that now. And, like this case, sure, 120 million isn't a lot in the face of the whole crypto market, but it's enough to freak people out. And in a world
it's a
where,
lot. I mean, I hate to be sarcastic and say it's not a lot, right?
yeah,
The other hack we just looked at was only 40, 45 million.
yeah,
But
peanuts.
when you smack that 100 million on the number for 2025,
Yeah,
it moves us even closer to eclipsing the 500 million from last year,
right,
right?
right.
And 400 million from the year before. So it is this unfortunately the wrong stacking going on in
Mhm.
the wrong direction for
Yeah.
sure.
And, you know, I hate to scare people who listen to this show because I know Brandon Byrne and I talk a lot about the future of crypto and how it's important for the future of the economic system in general and the monetary system in general. But
Yeah.
the malicious players are not just, random dudes in Serbia right now, like it was with early days of credit card fraud, from what I was reading about in college. We just had a big story break about China sponsoring crypto hackers. And so you now have not just small time personal, but also institutional level attacks. And, frankly, I agree with Representative Kennedy that we talked about the other day, saying that it's time to actually start having this conversation. I think I wrote in my article telling Representative Kennedy that he didn't need to worry about it because BDIC is already doing it. But
Right.
it's time to start taking this seriously, and
I
we've been
think regulators
lacking.
are. I think politicians and regulators, and I think the people. I think I know this. I know that the profit margins and the profits in general, the net of these exchanges and platforms, there's no excuse for there not to be supplemental insurance offered, provided, and subsidized. There's no excuse. Zero. I can't.
Yeah.
It's no, it's unconscionable how much money is made, and that people, the retail people, are the ones, the holding the bag mentality, or, the guy without the chair. I don't think that CZ or any people that are at higher levels, and I don't want to name names, but they're not suffering when that happens.
Right.
They're not going through the same experience. And what people don't understand, and you and I and most everybody needs to wallet, the average wallet is 6,300, right? So when a wipeout like that happens, there's some people that are just being obliterated by
Right.
losing that 10, 12, 15, 17,000. It's just not, unfortunately, I think when the top 1% of the earners who have crypto or invested early enough in Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever to have built some wealth, um, have forgotten how petty
Mhm.
their accounts were to start, right?
Right.
But it is a
Right.
different world, and look, the propaganda of China paying hackers and spy games has been going on, war games has been going on since the '80s when I was a kid. You talk about, oh, I remember college. Well, I don't remember it
Right.
that well because it was 33 years ago, and that's a joke I made recently. But the fact of the matter is that along the way, the machine is going to communicate it what it wants to communicate when it wants to communicate it to drive what it wants from the consumer.
Right.
Okay. We don't drop leaflets anymore to communicate messages. We put them in TikTok. Right.
Right.
And so I think what's going on right now, and everyone's concerns or fears, I think there just has to be an acknowledgement that there is a lot of uncomfortable, a lot of discomfort, a lot of feeling when you're going through a transformation of a financial paradigm. I mean, it's a transition. It
Right.
ain't gonna be easy. There's gonna be pain. Banks used to get knocked off all the time back in the day. All
Right.
the time. I'm talking walk in with a gun and a mask. They didn't even have cameras, and they handed them the money.
Right.
Here's the and the banks read this. Finally, banks figured out, we should only keep like 50 grand in the bank.
Right.
Not whether we have it or not, but now that there's only so much they can rob, right?
Right.
Then it was, oh, now we can track them. Now we got cameras. Now we got security guards. Now we got the 2 keys, the vault that okay, well, so the security systems that have been put in, the protocols that have been put in, uh, I mean, gosh, this industry is really 15 years old. Honest, really a solid 10 years old of focus. Yeah, there's probably backdoors galore,
Right.
right? Our biggest concern of bringing our coin to market, the token development, right, is who's developing it? Where's the lockbox, the safe box, the AWS? Well, everyone's, oh, we have AWS. I'm waiting for that to get cracked open. You know what I mean? So there's
Right.
no real talk.
Yeah.
When everyone says this is Fort Knox and no one can bring, no one can escape from Alcatraz. I've seen enough movies. I think you can escape from Alcatraz. So my concern is, look, I wrote about people over leveraging and over collateralizing before this. This is not even what I was talking about. What I was talking about is 5 to 7 years from now when everyone's forgot about this. Just like when real estate markets ebb and flow, and when they're flowing, everyone's taking out HELOCs and going out and buying cars and going on vacations, and the real estate market crashes, and all of a sudden foreclosures everywhere. Do you know how many times that's happened in my life? Four. I 4 times. Four. You know how many times the markets have shit the bed in my life
Mm.
that I can remember? I don't remember the SNL scandal, but I was 11 or 12 when it happened, and I remember my father not being in a good mood for a couple of years. Right? I remember
Right.
in 1991 when I was graduating from high school, the front page of the USA Today had our plan on how we were gonna attack Iraq, and markets were rolling over, right? Real estate markets were rolling over. I remember certainly in the 2001 bubble rolling over. I remember September 11th. I remember financial contagion. I remember COVID, and yeah, I remember right now. But if we're alive, right, through another cycle, what comes around. Well, if every 4 years this happened, look, Bitcoin's only been around for how many 4 year cycles now? This is its fourth one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you can believe in what you want. Four is a good sample size.
Mhm.
Four. It'll catch up with me in maybe 16 years, and we'll
Right.
see if we have more of a sample size. But I think what BDIC insurance is going to bring is that peace of mind and that sleep factor to people having crypto, and their biggest fear not being the volatility, that they want to go long, but they want to know that if they get hacked, fished, sucked in, whatever the phrase of the day is going to be,
Right.
that they can be made whole. And
Right.
that's,
Yeah.
you have to remind people, why do you keep money in the bank? Because it's insured. That's that was that. It's not the yield. Okay. When I was a kid, 12, 13, 14% existed in a lifetime that I was not cognizant of rate at that age. Okay, my first mortgage was 7.5, and we thought we got a deal at 7.5, actually 7.25. And my wife and I high-fived and partied like it was 1999. It was pretty damn close.
Yeah.
Okay, so when people talk about rates being what they're at, I'm like, you're 100 basis point below what I got my first one at, and I
Right.
celebrated. So
Right.
it's an all relative, but I do think for the adoption of crypto mainstream, for the banks to be successful pushing it down. It isn't just ETFs, isn't just deposit it here and we'll collateralize it for you. Of course we will. Of course, JP Morgan wants to take your crypto in and put it in the box and collateralize it. On Wall Street, that makes them a bigger, fatter bank. It
Yep.
gives them more leverage to do their business. Nothing's for you, retail.
Yeah.
That's why I say Jamie Dimon smiling like the cat that ate the canary because he's going,
Yeah.
we love us some crypto tokenization or and just spits out a bunch of crap and doesn't, elaborate. But we're gonna make a difference. And there are other insurance companies out there,
Mhm.
okay, Coin Cover, Evertus, they exist. However, they're only insuring institutional and or levels of crypto that we're dealing with the Walmart people. We're dealing with the 99%, with the
Yeah.
masses, the ones that actually matter, that make a difference,
Right.
right? The ones that keep everything going, that need it and doing it at affordable numbers. That's the other goof is all the insurance people that we speak to tell us our prices are too low. And I feel like I'm Mark Cuban selling medicine at $8, where I'm like, look, man, what do you mean it's too low? It's
Right.
there's still a great margin in there for us.
Right.
But you think I should charge 50 instead of 20? No, because $50 will put somebody out of the box. And I understand the value of money. I mean,
Mhm.
there are food shelters right now that have cut their food stamp allocations in half. Right? Like, let's have some awareness on real value for the people that are just taking their chances and putting their foot into something that they think could make a difference in their life somehow, positive. And that doesn't necessarily making money, right? But it's being ahead, right? It's like the people that were willing to go, search for gold in them their hills on the early, right?
Mhm.
And then were rewarded for Sefer, right? So, I think we're I think we are the answer for that. And I think the regulators and the exchanges and the wallet platforms, I know that they know it. Their numbers will go up significantly simply by
Right.
offering insurance. It's just a fact.
Right.
So,
No, I 100% agree. This was one thing I was talking about with two people. One I won't name because I don't want to like put him on blast. The other one is Austin Yun or Yen, sorry, from the Global Council on Crypto Taxation. What people don't realize, and I brought this up several times before in the show, is that our modern financial markets are at least 150 years old, if not longer. I mean, if we go all the way back to like the joint stock companies of the 1600s, we're talking 400
a
years
classic
old.
barter system. We are this what we're in now, what we're going into, this digital economy should be the next 3 to 500 years.
Right.
And we're overdue. It's like the electrical grid problem. Like it's overdue. We're paying attention to it. I know people aren't talking about it. Well, all the condos sinking into the ocean in Florida that are 30 years old, everyone should wake up. Like there's some shit going on. There's some
Yeah.
bridges that are going to be failing that have a lot of rust on them.
Mhm.
And this financial system has that rust,
Yeah.
especially for, and I hate to say it, especially for our country. The U.S. put itself in a not so sexy box, while other countries like China have been acquiring gold going gangbusters the
Mhm.
last 3, 4, 5 years. The U.S. has sat on its heels and just recently became and you know how I feel about this. BlackRock is the government, and therefore the U.S. has become a BTC country, a BTC based economy,
Right.
whether you like it or not. That's the real truth about it.
Mhm.
Um, and it's all concerning, man.
Yeah.
It's all concerning.
No, it is, but I mean, that's the nice thing, or the thing that I always look back to, is that because crypto's so new, like you said, 10, 15 years old, there's a lot of room to run. And, this is just your comment about like the US becoming a BTC country. I mean, I explained this in the article I just released not too long ago. All the hype around the debasement trade, like this, immediate collapse, like next rate cut, the US dollar is going to collapse, everything's going to fall apart. So you better invest in BlackRock's BTC ETF right now. That was the whole point. That was the whole pitch, was to get you to buy into their products because, like you said, they know, they see this. I was curious, so I looked at Coinbase's numbers, and at least according to Coinbase and Coin Law, assets on the Coinbase platform reached 425 billion in the second quarter of 2025. So this isn't this isn't pocket change. This
No,
isn't someone ordering a pizza with 10 Bitcoin anymore. Um,
it's a whole different the those that don't understand it, or that those that are in denial, right? That group of the population is going to have their wake up. Uh, those are the same people, by the way, that are using digital wallets and paying for everything on their phone. That swore they would never get an iPhone. You know what I'm saying? Or an Android for that matter. They swore they'd never do that. Not never use PayPal or Zelle. I'll net. Come on, guys.
yeah,
And you know how I feel. You know, if my 80-year-old some odd father is willing to buy the Bitcoin thing and put it in the wallet thing because he's got insurance, because he understands insurance, right?
right.
You're just breaking into what I think people will ultimately, and you know, this fear wins out when things are bad, but greed is a tough son bitch. Tough son bitch.
Mhm.
And the fear of missing out and the on sale. You know, I spoke to a gentleman the other day that was an old client of mine at Merrill. And I said, have you bought into the cryptocurrency market since I spoke to you, which was about a week ago? And he said, well, you know, he was planning on putting $50,000 in. I said to him, I said, well, put half in here. Okay. And keep the other half dry powder. He goes, well, you're telling me the prices are good. I said, well, as good as they are, they'll probably get a little better.
Mhm.
And I don't want you to have buyer's remorse, because the typical thing, you know,
Yeah,
this is the day that you buy something, it always goes down. It never goes up.
yeah,
It's always red. Um,
right.
so he called me yesterday and he said, hey, he said, I haven't gotten into the crypto market yet. Do you think it's still a good time? And I said, well, the prices are better. I said, I don't know
Yeah,
what else to tell you. I said, but if I believe that ETH, if zero is 4,000, which I maintain, then yeah, you've got a hell of a blue light special there. Bitcoin, I think, is at 100 now, which for me is zero,
right.
right? And Solana is, I think, at around 150, which is the goof of goofs.
Yeah,
If you can buy Solana under 184, under 211, and under 248, good God. If for nothing else, put buy stops on when it goes back to those prices. If you don't want to deal with the volatility and down here, people have no understanding and no concept of how many ETFs are about to come online and how much buying pressure is going to be put into all of these names to own, including SOL, hybrids, SOLET, SOLB. There's just crazy things that are going on. And I think people will look back. I've said this to another gentleman earlier. Their future self right now is like trying to wake them up, saying, please just
Mhm.
do it and look away from the light. And you know, I've had to resort to sarcasm for much of my commentary as of late. You know, oh yeah, it's all ending. It's all, you know what? It's everything's going out of business tomorrow. All the stable core, all the issuance, JP Morgan, all the banks.
Yeah,
This was, I mean, people don't understand how much money these institutions have spent to get to here and are spending to build out the infrastructure. It's not a
right.
million or 10 million. It's hundreds of millions of dollars of capital commitment,
Mhm.
which sounds like a lot of money to institutions that it's still not.
Yeah.
It's nothing. It's absolute nothing. So
Small investment for someone like JP Morgan.
come on. So if JP Morgan, who for three years sandbagged it and pretend like nothing was going on,
Yeah.
just like Larry Fink, when I listen to them talk, I just look at them and I'm like, you know, we all know.
Yeah,
You don't have to fake it. If for nothing else, be like, you know, we were buying when we were telling you to sell. Like, it's
yeah,
okay. You know, it's okay. Just be honest and say, we might like you a little. We won't trust you, but we might like you a little more.
yeah. Well, to add just an extra piece of testimony to that, and this is something I found out very recently, but it kind of shapes the whole situation for me. Um, when the first transatlantic railroads were going in, there was propaganda released by the city of Chicago telling people to prevent the railroad from going through.
Yep.
And think about, and who knows, I'm sure it points along there because, a project that big, it's going to have cost overruns. It's going to not be as quick as they said it was going to be. It's going to break down. I guarantee you at every point along that path until the railroads started making Chicago a ton of money, there were people saying it was going to fall apart and it was a bad idea and it was a malinvestment. I know I say that a lot about AI for people who look at my Twitter or here, but I believe that these new technologies are going to change the world. I think a lot of what's going on in the AI bubble is a bubble, and I think there's good evidence to support that. But the same thing here with crypto, like I think it's going to be a big part of the future. Sure, right now there's a bunch of idiots taking out 500x leverage and losing everything when it drops 10%. But that doesn't change the fact that this is going to change the world. If it wasn't, China wouldn't be so nervous in putting on such tight capital controls around stablecoins. They wouldn't be.
That's right. That's right. I think that I watched 60 Minutes for the first time this past Sunday. In a long time. And it wasn't with intention. I had left the TV on. I think it was like somewhere in between Monday Night Football when they switched stations, and I all of a sudden I heard a voice that I recognized, and a reporter asking him questions, and the conversation, centering around economy and the long game. Oh yeah, we're in the long game, just like China. And I'm sitting there going, that doesn't seem like we are. It seems like we're playing, a game of horse, and we think when it's over that it's all over versus a rematch, 10,000 times. And I think that the pressure from the other countries, just like China putting a ban on crypto, Singapore banning on what they control things by banning them so they can get their house in order so that they can do revenue and make money off it and monetize. Here, we use a little more what seems to be transparency within regulation and between the parties and what have you. Um, but no, I think what China's proven to me and a couple of other countries also in their uh, continued acquisition of gold, in their continued smelting of iron and control of the lithium market, and the railway system that they built through their country since COVID, to help communication and transportation and efficiency in their country, to me is it still remains a very scary prospect, for the U.S.
Mhm.
Very scary. The tariff, what we take, we can give away. What we give away, we can take, and that's a manipulation. We can, there was a short period, I think it was a year and a half or something, certain relationship component of that. When it's convenient, somebody's going to wake up and say, "Oh, we've decided that we're going to lower those, and things are better now." And what's going to
Right.
happen to the market? The market's going to embrace and get excited and be happy,
Right.
right? So maybe that's the next administration. Maybe we're still 2.5 years from that. But I don't think it has to be a Republican versus Democrat. I think the next administration, according to the current administration, we're lucky he hasn't, imposed, what is it, the insurrection, presidential insurrection, where he can just take over the world and maintain being president for a while. But assumably there'll be a next administration, Republican or Democrat, and I do believe some of those things will be unwound to allow the wind to blow heavy in the
Mm.
sail. And I don't think it's going to take that long, but I've seen it. I've seen all this before. It's like a replay of a movie. It's just a blessing to be 52.
Right.
I know when I'm 72, I'll feel the same way, but I'll be tired. You know,
Right.
I'm happy it's happening now. If this whole digital trend, 5 more years, if this would have happened 5 more years from now, I would have been looking away from the light. I would have been set in my ways. I wouldn't have cared. I would have been involved to a degree, but I wouldn't have been doing this.
Mhm.
No way.
Yeah. Well, I guess real quick, we're getting kind of down to the weeds, so I want to double back here. What exactly are you guys doing at BDIC? What can people expect over the next few months, next quarter, next year?
Sure.
I mean, you got some
Yeah,
really big stuff coming on.
we
Uh,
do. We've signed some exchanges and some platforms. We won't announce them until the marketing is supposed to roll out. Our token creation completion will happen over the next week and a half to 2 weeks. Our whitelist presale TG website will go up around that time. Then we'll have the actual TGE. We'll get tokens deposited. We'll have things getting ready. We'll be launching on a DEX and building our credibility and converting our lovely coin into the utility world, hopefully with nice revenue. But really just transparency, honesty. We've got an opportunity right now where we've got some very interested parties that want to insure their wallets, that want to have protection.
Right.
And we're not at that capacity yet, but we have partners that are, right? And
Right.
we have very, very reliable insurance companies that do insure in crypto that are willing to step to our side to let us execute on tens of thousands of users that are ready to go. And these are users that aren't necessarily the 0 to 10 and 10 to 25. These are users with 25, 50, 100. And we allow for that. We allow for aggregate wallets, right, for that kind
Right.
of protection. But most importantly, for people to be able to say, yeah, my wallet's insured. Like I made the joke the other day. I hope my father gets a wallet and buys some Bitcoin and gets hacked the next day so we can make him whole so he can say, yeah, some bitch, that insurance thing worked. And so that's where we're at. I think our application will be done for real onboarding, I'll say in January. We'll do some soft onboarding here in late November, early December. Um, but we'll be trying to get kinks out at that stage. We're very, very cognizant of we only get the one chance to make that user experience and that first impression. And we are expecting part of the beauty of bringing insurance to a market or a platform is we're expecting that platform, be it wallet or exchanges, to potentially be an additional bullseye on their back, right? Where a hacker can say, this is great. If I can pop that wallet platform, not only am I going to steal their money, but I'm going to cause pain to the insurance provider. And all I'd offer up to them is in the old mentality of Rocky Balboa, go for it. Go for it because we will hunt you down. The partners
Right.
that we have this is not 3, 4, 5 years ago. And no disrespect to the exchanges getting hacked, but the steps and the actions and the protocols that we have in place, you know, we want to go back to the olden days where people had to line up in the corner square and get rocks thrown at them. You know, cool. But that's what people should expect. They should expect transparency,
Yeah.
honesty, to know what our solvency is, to understand our utility token, to understand the benefits of insurance, what is insured, what isn't insured, and there be no excuse as long as their keys are protected by a third party like Station 70 or whomever else is in that space. Pretty much everything else on God's green earth we can insure and we will cover, and we'll have the capacity to do it. Um, and that's the exciting part. You know, the tipping point. Uh, it's kind of like the last minute and a half of boiling water for to make your pasta. Like there's bubbles, but it really needs to be what they call a rapid boil, right?
Right.
So we're percolating, we're bubbling, we're simmering. Um, and I know this the Pan Asia market. If you just look at what's going on at HTX and BTSE, and I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And people don't want to hear this, but I'll say this that the volatility, even to the downside, the traders of the world and the managers of the world are making money a lot. They actually like this in markets. They don't like boring, you
Right.
know that. This makes money. This
Yeah.
is, yeah, so, and that's what I also know, just looking at the volume to downside heavy, just do 1% on that. The exchanges are making nice money on trade volume. So we're optimistic that at the bottom will be found, that people will adopt, that insurance will become part of mainstream, and we're looking forward to other players entering the market. We want Burger King and Wendy's to come join our McDonald's. We want more people, and we want unity from the leaders at the exchanges and these wallet platforms to join us to build the ecosystem out the way that it's been done in traditional finance. It's time. We're
Right.
here. We're
We
here.
are.
The numbers are make the internet adoption and the credit card adoption look like child's play.
Yep.
So
Yep.
so we're excited about that, and certainly appreciate the time and the effort you've put in learning what we're doing and helping us uh, preach and teach. And I think, again, staying on the education component and giving insights to people on why and what to do, how to protect their wallets, how to go to the phone store and have them lock your SIM and do different protection things like Evan talked about on the podcast the other day. There should be some basic protocols, SOPs that every retail person knows. Okay, I'm going to do it. If I do these things, I've increased my percentages, 100-fold of not getting hacked or losing my money, or my
Right.
crypto. I don't even know that we call it money anymore. So excited about it, man. Excited about Q4 and
Yeah.
Q1. I hope Q4 turns on its head. We're only 1 month in. Everyone shouldn't give up. It's not, technical breakdowns come with recoveries. That's all you need to know. So uh,
They do come with market bounce backs.
they do. They do. So we're excited about that, and we're excited to start releasing who our partners are and our collaborative partners are on the infrastructure build, on the security build, the token and tokenomics delivery. I think are going to be delivered differently to the consumer. I think that people are talking up here way too often about what's going on, and we're going to go for the KISS method and deliver it in a way that can be taken in, illustrative, um, and uh, and different. Not your classic insurance company.
No, and I think that's the important thing. We've talked about this before, and people who watch or read my stuff know that the point of this entire newsletter, this press thing that I do,
Mm.
is to help with that education aspect. I know a lot of
It's wealth
people.
and wisdom, you know, and that wisdom.
Right.
I'm not. We have to rename it. It's wisdom and wealth because I don't know if you don't have the wisdom, you may have the wealth, but you ain't going to keep it very long.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's that is what you're doing. You're shedding light, and you're doing something that I learned a long time ago at Merrill Lynch, which is we're paid for our opinions,
Hmm.
right? And you have to have the it's not hubris when you are having balls, right? You have to have conviction, and behind that has to come the why, right? The
Hmm.
education part, not just I think it's all going to hell. Well, you better damn well explain to me
Right.
what hell is and how low hell is and why is it going there, and then better yet, if it's going to hell, what can turn it around? What can make it better? What can make it all better, right? And that's what I think where when people's brains start thinking like that a little bit more, and I think you mentioned it, how long the financial system was in place and how long it took for it to develop, and then look how long it took for it to break down,
Hmm.
right? And when did that really start happening? And now everything is 24/7. It's a different world. Well, I do believe that if people have some patience
Hmm.
and can see the forest through the trees or whatever the cliche is, in 5 and 7 and 10 years, it's going to be just like when I laughed at my friend in 1995 about selling stuff online because nobody bought anything online. Well,
They do now.
man, I haven't seen the inside of a grocery store in a long time. So it's something else. It is.
Mhm.
So I think for the way the world is going, um, I don't even think this part's a question. I really don't. I still have a lot of fear about 5 to 7 years from now, overexposure, over leverage, over collateralization, and an unforeseen geopolitical event, an unforeseen market instance, an unforeseen black swan event that was beyond anyone's understanding of what could or could not have happened. But having seen the World Trade Center get bombed, having seen COVID, contagion, financial contagion, having seen these things, good golly, I can't be naive to think that that doesn't come around again and cause another market correction, recession, whatever shun word it's going to be. But I
Right.
don't think this is it. I don't if Bitcoin bounces off a 93, $94,000 technical band and then goes to 160, no one will remember this part, right? No one. If Solana's back in the 250s to 300s, and all the other names that I can name right now that I look at on the daily are back to their high or proper technical levels versus the breakdown they've gone through, it's just like the markets. Yeah, market was at 7,000, went to 14,000, back to 9,000, to 17,000, back to 12,000, back to 9. All those waffles there. No, what's the Dow at now? Come on. What's the Nasdaq at?
Right.
Come on. So, um, yeah, I think the people, I know this. I know my 20 and my 18-year-old are well versed on it, right? And I know the consumers that are, especially let's say your age, maybe 28 down to 20, don't think the same way as the other people do.
Mhm.
There's a different mentality now. And I think that, you know, remote working, side hustle, fancy phone intelligence, it's a whole different people. You
Mhm.
know, I'm convinced those people will adopt it, use it, perfect it, and it will be the norm. Convinced.
Right. And that is, we are I feel like we're getting, to a pretty close to a good wrap-up point, but I do wanna bring up one thing, just so we've been talking about it a lot, and because I don't know if you noticed this, Jeff. Eamon just joined. Hello, Eamon. Thank you for joining us.
Let's go.
Recently, some of the stuff that I've been saying, I write something and then soon afterwards it happens.
Ah,
Like for example,
I thought you were reading stories and then you were writing it. So now if are you the butterfly flapping your wings causing the problems? We need to start writing about some different things, some up things.
yeah, some positive things. I wish. I mean, the reason why I bring up, uh, just for a good example, with the whole Burrito Gate article that people are like, "Whoa, this is crazy! Like, what's going on here?" Let's be very clear. This is all simply the fact that for a long time people could get away with it, and that right there is one of the really, really cool things about cryptocurrency and BDIC is it's transparent.
That's right.
I guarantee you in 10, 15 years, I guess I can't guarantee, but my guess, my prediction is 10, 15 years from now, when my kids are starting to grow up, you're not going to see a bunch of over collateralization. You'll see some, but it'll appear faster, as we've already seen with over marginalization in the
That's
crypto market. If you take out too much risky margin in crypto right now, you get punished fairly quickly. Uh, and I think that's a good thing. I know a lot of people, obviously, it's people's money and livelihoods and their savings, so it's painful, but the more efficient the system is and the more you can trust it, the bigger it's going to get and the more
Listen, Tyler,
valuable it's going to be.
if I tell you I burned my hand on the stove in the kitchen, you're still going to go in the kitchen and not have the same kind of fear until you burn your hand. So
Right.
unfortunately, when people hear about mistakes in the past, mistakes other people made, right? You should
Mhm.
learn lessons from me so you don't make the same mistake. You know how many times I've said to my children, do as I say, not as I do. Well, there's a reason. And I guess my point is, and we go back to the greed point, which we made earlier, is uh, fear is overrun by greed often.
Right.
And unfortunately, when financial advisor calls you and says, "Hey, Tyler, you're doing great. Let's throw an LMA, a loan management feature on your Bitcoin or your stocks or your bonds, and you can get some extra liquidity and buy some more because the world's going great." The first thing anyone should realize is when everyone's pounding the yay yay drum, it's time to leave the party. And when everyone is playing the march of the dead, it's time to start celebrating life again.
Right.
People are going to make these mistakes again. I said it, I've seen it 3 times now. The mistakes keep happening. They're the same mistakes. And
Right.
I hate the cliche of history doesn't dare, but it often repeats itself. Well, it
It's
does.
true though.
It,
It's
it's a
true.
sad, it's a sad and so what I would like to think is if my grandfather would have taught my father would have taught me and I would have taught my sons, then my sons won't make the mistakes I made, my dad made, my grandpa made, right?
Mhm.
And I told my sons their entire lives growing up, you don't need to lift weights. You don't need to do anything. If you just do push ups and sit ups, as many as you can do in a given set, and you do that every day, you'll never have to worry about the shape of your body. Now, no one does that when they're told that. Okay, they're like, oh, sure, but it works, right? And so does eating your fruits and vegetables, and so does in certain things. So in this instance, to tell people don't collateralize, don't take out too much, don't do. Unfortunately, there's a bunch of these financial advisor, wealth management, professionals saying, "Oh yeah, this is exactly what's OPM, right? Create the debt." So my fear is, unfortunately, that this market will rebound and it will go up significantly, and people will jump right into that water because it feels good.
Yep.
And then
Start
this
swimming
market will
naked
go,
again.
and then as Warren would say, the tide will go out.
Exactly.
We're going to see a bunch of people without their shorties on.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a fear, it's a concern. I think right now the truth is, um, my father sent me an email yesterday saying this ETH, hack on, this is a bonanza for you. This is the greatest thing that could happen. I said, well, this is the weird trifecta inverse of what is my dad saying. I actually think what you're doing is going to work. And for 2 years, that man has challenged me on, why are you not doing this, and this that are lucrative instead of that? Right. So let the markets go through their gyrations,
Yep.
because that's what they're there to do. And we talk about shaking out the weak hands, right? The institutions want all of the odd lot people out, the fractional Bitcoin owners and the people that acquired a bunch of ETH at 4,200 or went to 4,900 and they were feeling good. They want them out. They don't want them back.
Right.
Um, but do me a favor, man. Write a positive article. I think it's a full moon tonight.
All right.
Let's take it easy on the people. It's Thanksgiving month.
Well, yeah, we'll write something good we'll write something good this week.
That's what I like to
It
hear.
won't
That's
all
what
be
I like
doom and
to hear.
gloom.
And I would say anybody that listens to this, or is a client of yours, or anyone that spends the time, the good news about your material and your content is that it is not slanted, but for it is your opinion. And I've appreciated that. It took us several months worth of dialogue and conversation to get to, hey, I understand and I agree and I like what's going on for both of us. And I think that speaks a lot to you. So keep delivering your messages, even if it brings some people some pain. Um, and I've said this also. Sometimes the opinion that you give is not the popular one, but it is the right one. So
Yep. I
spitting it, man.
I agree. I think I'm gonna end with this point, and then we're gonna call it. Is and I wish I could remember his name. I can never remember his name, but the founder of Kickstart, one of the first seed funds here in Utah.
Oh yes, he's
What? I don't remember his name. I can't
God.
remember his name to save my
I
life.
know exactly what he looks like.
Yeah, I he came to my class in college, and I can't remember his name. Um,
He's got a
but
nice afro, real nice afro. I'm
um,
jealous.
what he said. Let's see here. I can find him real quick. We'll grab his name. If
I
not,
want to say it was Nikki or something, but that's not it.
um, so I'm gonna end
Is
with
it
his
Adler?
quote here. What?
Was it Charles Adler is the one you're talking about?
My internet is not pulling up.
Is it Hassan Saddam Raz?
Um, we're gonna end with this quote that he told us.
Okay.
Um, oh, there he is. Gavin Christensen
Okay.
is what I'm
Yeah.
thinking of. Kickstart Fund. What he said was, it's not just about being contrarian; it's about being contrarian and right. And what I've noticed, and it's the reason why I sat down in the middle of my gym session to read a white paper given to me by some bald guy with a white beard that I'd never met before in my life, um, was that BDIC is contrarian. They are going against the grain of this is all some speculative nonsense. But I also think you're right. And those are the winners in the world.
Amen. Amen. Listen, the one of the early books that I read was The Crowd, a study of the popular mind, right? Contrarian thinking.
Mhm.
Gustav Le Bon, and that was given to me by my current chief investment officer. He gave it to me, I don't know, probably 20 years ago. Right. So this is a great book to read. And that speaks a lot to him as our CIO, but also, uh, yeah, we know that this thing is for real. We know it's not going anywhere. And the conviction, and we have our team calls every Tuesday. I know you know this at 2 o'clock. The conviction on our team is unwavering, and just the daily interest, the incoming interest daily. I would say people, look at our Telegram and get on our Twitter. We haven't even turned on a marketing machine because we shouldn't need to,
Mhm.
right? It's the FDIC didn't come out and promote that they were insuring. The banks promoted it, right? So our wallet platforms and our exchanges, they're going to let their consumers know, hey, we're offering insurance. What do you think? And I'd love, I know we've got the one guest on. We're 1,000% right now of people that say they would spend $20 a month to insure 10 grand in a wallet. 1,000. Nobody said no. It was 1999. No one has said no. Would you spend 29.99 for 20,000? We're still batting 1,000%. Right. So I'm convinced if the price is right and we can prove out that we have the solvency and the ability to settle claims, people's biggest concern with an insurance company is, are they actually going to pay me? Right. So I think that once we're showing that we have the balance sheet strength and the right protocols and systems in to not just handle payment, but to do it swiftly. And I hate to use the word swift, but to have it happen in quick fashion where you're not waiting for the adjuster for a week and having to rent a car and go through this, rigmarole process versus, hey, we've identified, we've verified, you've checked the 5 boxes, your green light, and your money's back. How do you want it? That experience is going to make people want to adopt. Convinced. Absolutely.
Jeffrey Glossman, everybody, founder of Blockchain Deposit Insurance Company. If you guys want to check them out, I highly recommend go looking at their page on LinkedIn. You can also go to blockchaindepositininsurance.net.org. I don't remember.
BDIC, that's for BDICinsurance.com.
Go and check out their website, check out their white paper. It's one of the better ones I've read. And with that, Mr. Glossman, I'm going to let you go and get on with the rest of
Thank
your
you,
night.
sir. Hey, well, East Coast guy, we're going to go grab some dinner over here, Taco Tuesday.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah, let's go. Thank you for having me, Tyler. It's good seeing you, buddy.
Good seeing you too. Bye bye now.
Bye now.